Hello, today I'll be reading the Zootopia fanfiction called The Door by Elliot Shade. Before I start, I just want to say I'm not the best reader, and I may have to stop and read words out or go back on sentences. If you do not like this, you can go into the description and click the link to read the fanfiction yourself. Without further ado, I'll start now. Elliot was panting heavy as he ran through the subway. Normally he was quite claustrophobic, and being in the subway would reduce him to nervous wreck. However, he was so desperate to get away that he pushed the fear into the back of his mind. He had ditched his pursuers a while ago, yet still he ran, knowing they would keep up looking for him. He clutched his side, feeling a sharp pain, but still he kept pumping his legs, making sure to avoid the third rail. There he goes, get him! How'd they catch up? He wondered as he continued to run, the pain in his side getting worse. His breathing was ragged, and he could hear the steps and taunting voices getting closer. Is this it? Eli thought, with hot tears streaming down his face. Suddenly he saw a door that he figured was for maintenance workers open, yet just up ahead of him. It had a lock. Just a little further, Eli thought as he pumped his legs even harder. Than he had previously. He got to the door, slipped inside, and engaged the lock. He even found a deadbolt. He quickly locked that too. Then he covered his mouth to silence his breathing, and listened with his ears to the door. He suddenly heard their footsteps running past the door without even slowing. Please don't let them find me, he thought, hoping that they would just continue on. He felt around for a light switch, not finding any near the door. He felt around the other walls, still not finding a light switch. He did discover that the room was much bigger than he had thought previously. He started feeling his way in the darkness down what he now believed was a long corridor. He then spotted a light further ahead, and then started to make his way towards it. He stopped dead in his tracks when he heard the knob of the door he had just come through start to rattle. I bet he's in here, came a muffled voice, before the sound of someone kicking the door were heard. Eli, sorry if I say Elliot by accident, Eli started to make his way to the light faster. He looked behind him as he heard the door be busted in, and saw 5 dark figures with flashlights enter the small room. They flashed their lights around, searching the room. Their gaze just slid over the dark hall Eli was still running down. Unknowing to Eli, all they had seen was a solid wall, where the opening to the tunnel he was currently running down once was. Alright, he ain't here. He's around somewhere, and when we find him, we're gonna let him really have it. Yeah, the other 5 cheered excitedly. Eli was puzzled as to why they weren't chasing him down the hall, but he didn't stop, he just kept going. The light at the end of the tunnel was getting brighter and brighter. Eventually he managed to emerge from the tunnel into a busy intersection beneath an overpass. Eli was now even more confused and turned to look at the tunnel he had just come out of, except that it had disappeared completely. It was just a solid concrete now. He felt the wall, trying to see if maybe it was just a trick of the light, but just felt a solid wall. Eli turned to take a better look at his new surroundings. The building in the odd shape and sizes that were double for the cars passing by. Are some of those remote control? Eli thought as he saw one of the really small cars pass by. He looked inside and saw a mouse in a suit and tie. He looked some of the cars and saw all kinds of different animals driving, all dressed in clothes. It was just as a family of tigers passing by in a minivan that he snapped out of his trance. Eli quickly made his way to the crosswalk and flipped up his hoodie. His side was still hurting, but he ignored it in an attempt to not stand out. He pressed the button at the light and was soon crossing. After he had crossed the street, he kept his head down while he walked along the sidewalk. He passed by several animals, people, all of whom stopped and stared at him. Eli noticed this and continued to walk with his head down and hoodie up. It wasn't until he had walked another few blocks that he heard the sirens. He immediately ducked down an alley. He heard the siren stop as a car pulled up nearby. He hid behind a dumpster as he heard the sound of two car doors open and shut. Sorry. Sorry, to catch my breath. Just try to take this seriously, Nick. Several witnesses claim to have seen a shady guy in a hoodie covered in blood. This could be really dangerous, a female voice whispered excitedly. I seem to recall getting a similar report last week, said our laid-back male voice, and that ended up us questioning some poor old badger who spilled lasagna on his shirt. This could still be different, the female voice said. All right, Carrots, all right, said the male voice. He heard the two start to get closer to his hiding spot. While Eli tried to make himself as small as possible, in doing so the pain in his side flared up, causing him to make a sharp intake of breath. Nick, behind the dumpster, the female voice whispered, just barely loud enough for Eli to hear. He tried to run, but he was already so exhausted at this point that he only managed to flop down on his face on the pavement. Hands where I can see them, he heard the female voice say enthusiastically. Eli complied by putting both hands on the pavement, putting both hands on the back of his head. His side felt like it was on fire now, and he let out a low groan. He looked up to see a grey rabbit and an orange fox, both in police uniforms with two guns pointed directly at him. They both looked at him in shock. It was written on their faces. Carrots? Ever seen anything like this? The fox asked. No, I haven't, the rabbit said, as she slowly put her gun away. Then she looked up and down and gasped. Call an ambulance, she said to her partner, who immediately whipped out his radio to do just that. The rabbit looked him over, her eyes full of concern. Don't worry, we'll get you to a hospital ASAP, she said gently, putting a paw on Eli's shoulder. The moment she did that, Eli broke down and started to cry. He couldn't make himself stop. Then he felt a pair of warm arms wrap around his neck and gently hug him. He saw that it was the rabbit cop. I promise everything's going to be okay, the rabbit said while hugging him. The ambulance is just around the corner, the fox said, and Eli could hear the sirens. Then he blacked out, with the rabbit still comforting him. Later, Eli slowly opened his eyes to see that he was laying on a hospital bed. He felt very weak and quite drowsy, and assumed that he was drugged. The door to his room was slightly ajar, and he could hear more voices. I'm sorry, officers, but I have absolutely no record of any kind of animal like this one. I have no idea as to what to call it. Him, he heard the voice of the rabbit cop. Whatever he is, he's a person. Easy there, Judy. I'm sure that the good doctor here meant no offense by it, the voice of the fox said. Yes, it was honestly just a slip of the tongue, officer. Fine, but how's he doing? The rabbit named Judy said the rabbit named Judy. Well, is it bad? Ella heard her voice with a tenseness that immediately started to make him tear up. He heard her voice with a tenderness that immediately started to make him tear up. He forced the emotions down and listened more intensely. Well, we were able to stitch up his side. We determined that he had been slashed with a knife. There were actually a few more scrapes. Sorry, my computer fell asleep. Scrapes near the area, but those were actually minor. So he was attacked? The rabbit asked. Yes, but not just from the stabbings. What do you mean? Well, we found evidence of previous injuries, broken bones, bruising, scarring. Wherever he came from, he's had a really rough time of it. What more, after several different examinations from several different doctors, we all come to an we all come to an agreement. The patient is just in early stages of adolescence. There was an audible gasp. He's just a child? Yes, officer, a child that has seen a very long history of abuse. Well, when will he wake up, doctor? He should be awake shortly, officers. If you would like, you could wait in his room. He's sleeping in. Thank you, doctor, the rabbit voice said. It was already getting closer. As the door started to be pushed open, even more. Eli quickly closed his eyes tight. He heard the sound of a chair being dragged over next to his bed. Thanks, Nick, the rabbit said to the fox. Anytime, Carrots. Eli was surprised by the feeling of two small paws gently take his hand. He had laid there for a long moment. His mind slowly became less foggy, all while the rabbit gently spoke and his hand stroked his hand. After a few moments passed, he opened his eyes. Hi there, the rabbit said happily. Can you understand me? Eli nodded, making the rabbit smile more. Can you tell me your name? She asked excitedly, excitement in her voice. I'm Eli, he said quietly. Nice to meet you, Eli. I'm Judy, and this is my partner in crime fighting, Nick. Judy gestured to the fox, who was currently sitting in a chair with a pair of aviators on, sipping from a styrofoam cup. He casually waved. Now, we just spoke with the doctor, and you're going to be just fine, she said. However, we're going to need to ask you some questions. I know that maybe you're not in the mood to answer them, but that's all I'm asking you to do right now, Judy said, her eyes pleading. Eli thought for a moment and then nodded his head. All right, Judy said as she clicked a carrot-shaped pen and flipped open a notepad. Eli, what's your full name? Eli. Eli took a few moments before answering. It's only Eli, Eli said while looking down. Just like Gazelle, Nick said, while lowering his shades. Nick, hush, Judy scolded him before turning back to Eli. All right, we'll just leave that blank for now, she said, as she scrambled some more in her notebook. Okay then, what are you? She said, clearly feeling awkward for asking the question. I'm a human, Eli said while looking down. Human, Judy said, tasting the word. Okay. So who attacked you? Eli remained silent for a moment, just looking down. A gang from the orphanage, he mumbled. Judy's ears dropped, as Nick also took more of an interest. You're from an orphanage? She asked, her voice filled with concern. Yes. New Paths, New Homes, Orphanage, he mumbled. New Path, New Homes. Got it, Judy said, her eyes still showing concern. So, how old are you? I just turned 13. Where do you come from? She asked him. Somewhere where humans are the only dominant life forms, Eli said. Wait, do you mean? Judy started. I think I'm now on a different world than the one I was on earlier. Everyone in the room was silent as this new piece of information sunk in. Uh, Nick said, Huh, Nick said, I always thought something like this would involve little green men. Judy shot him a withering glare. He just held up his hands in surrender. Ella, are you saying that you're an alien? Judy asked seriously. I guess I am, he said. So how would you get here? Nick asked, now up and walking over to stand by Judy. I don't know, Eli answered. He then began to relate the two late began to relate to the two officers everything that had happened from when he was running away from the gang to the subway to now he had stumbled out on the world to how they had found him hiding behind the dumpster. Whoa, and here I thought that the night howlers being flowers was a bit of a Ow, Nick said before Judy elbowed him. Eli, Judy started. The doctor said that after having a test, he found a lot of signs of past abuse. Did this happen to you back at the orphanage? Eli stayed silent again. Then he looked up with and nodded. Judy looked at him, tears in her eyes, and just hugged him again. Eli sniffled, and held back his tears. Nick rested a paw on his shoulder. They stayed like this for a few minutes before Judy broke the hug to finish scrambling her notepad. Okay then, I think that's enough questions for now. Eli, she said as she clicked her pen and put the notepad away. So what happens now? Eli asked, his voice making a silent croak. Judy took his hand in hers and looked him dead in the eye. First, you're going to get some rest, and then later food. We're going to start entering you into our system, and then we're going to see about finding a place for you. Will it be another orphanage? Eli asked, dread creeping into his voice. Judy looked him right in the eye. I promise you things are going to be different, she said firmly. Eli nodded through doubt being deep-seated into his mind. New world, same promises, same rules, Eli thought. Judy gave him one more hug, and Nick ruffled his hair. Both briefly made him smile. Maybe. They all exchanged their goodbyes, and the two officers left the room. Ella laid in the hospital bed and thought about what just happened. A zebra nurse came in carrying a tray of food. She nervously said hello and set the tray up for him, and then quickly exited the room, actively keeping her eye casted down. I guess I'm pretty weird looking to them, Eli thought, glumly. As he looked down at his food, it was some kind of soup with a side of crackers and a pitcher of water. He took a spoonful and tasted it, immediately grimacing. New world, same hospital food. Eli took a few moments and started to eat more of the soup. He was pretty hungry. In a short while, Eli had finished the soup and poured himself a glass of water from a pitcher on the table next to him. He then noticed a remote and saw the TV on the far wall. He turned it on and started to flip through the various channels. He stopped at a news channel. Once more, we are showing this amateur footage of a strange mammal spider being taken away in an ambulance by two members of the ZPD. Eli was amazed at what he was seeing. It was himself unconscious, as a Bobcat EMT had him loaded onto a stretcher, while Judy and Nick were saying something to the driver. The footage was then stopped as a giraffe anchor woman appeared on screen. So far, the ZPD has not released any information as to what this being is. At least she's not calling me a creature. They have issued a statement that the mammal in question has been taken to seek medical treatment and that he will be questioned at a later time. Which hospital he is being taken to has been withheld, leaving us to wonder if this being a new undiscovered species of animal, is it an alien, and why was it injured? We here at the ZNN will keep you up to date on this story as it unfolds. Eli switched off the TV. Eli rolled over in a huff. He started to feel sleepy again and let a yawn. She just had to call him it, he thought, and drifted off to sleep. That was the end of chapter 1. There's something like 40 chapters and it's ongoing. I'll continue to update if this chapter is well received.